You ready? Let's go.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Sports Dad, and you already know what time it is. It's time to be on with me, and we got some things coming up today. We got a wonderful show that's planned for you today. And if you follow me on my Instagram, please do so. But if you haven't already, please do so and follow me on my Facebook page, Sports Dad CEPH. You can't miss it. But listen, guys, today is Thursday, Friday Eve, and we are rocking and rolling. And guess what? We're going to finish out the week super duper strong on tomorrow because it's Friday. You feel me? So look, we're super excited. Look, I told you guys, look, one thing about it is that I'm trying to remain consistent and getting you the information that you need. Today is going to be an awesome show. Listen, what I want you to do right now, go and share this information. Share it on Facebook. All right. Let's share it on YouTube or whatever we need to do. Spread the word. Let everybody know that Sports Dad is on right now. And guess what? We're going to talk about today the importance of taking care of the body, guys. And I got a guy that's coming on, and he is an absolute pro at what he does. Listen, you can have all the skills in the world, you know, and with all these things that that you guys are doing, you know, outside the 707s, the AAU, and all that stuff, and putting your body through rigorous, you know, things or whatnot. At some point, your body is going to need some attention if it doesn't already. And so right now, guys, you know, I want you to prepare yourselves. But first things first, I want to get it live and I want to get it hyped. Listen, you already know. If you got a question, you already know what you can do. You can leave a question in the comment section because it is your responsibility, once again, to have the comment sections lit. So if you got a question or if you got a comment or whatnot, don't hesitate to put that information. Listen, no question is a silly question. Don't be afraid or anything like that. Get live or whatever the case is. Make sure you put that information in the comment section. All right. And then also, too, once again, I just want you to share. And if this is your first time to the channel, guess what? I want you to subscribe go to my actual YouTube page and subscribe. And, you know, and make sure you like the actual video as well. And check out my other content that I got going on. And listen, you may be thinking like, well, you know what, this athlete, you know, this stuff is not for me. I don't have anybody, you know, I don't have a child for recruiting or anything like that. Listen, we all have that young, inspiring athlete in our family that's looking to play at the next level and that's looking to take that athletics super serious. Guess what? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get them connected with my channel because I'm telling you right now, the information that I'm laying down, there is nobody that's going to keep it real and 100 with you like Sports Dad. So if you want to know anything about recruiting and what it's like on the inside, make sure that you tap in with your boy. All right. Before we actually jump right into our segment, guess what, guys? I got some, you know, I got to share some news, right? I got to share some news because anything else, you know, wouldn't be uncivilized. You know what I'm saying? So I want to share some information with you guys. And actually, to me, you know, this is some great news. All right. This is actually great news. All right. So I did a video on this guy. His name is Isaiah Jackson, one of the nation's top recruit. All right. So make sure that you go to my YouTube and scroll through my videos. It's on my playlist as well. And check out his video. He has an interesting story. I used to coach this guy in AAU. And so as we can see, he went and played, you know, one season at Kentucky and had a good season. And guess what he's getting ready to do, guys? He's getting ready to go to the league. He want to try it out. He's getting ready to enter without an actual agent, but he's going to check it out and see how things roll. And guess what? I believe that he's going to get picked up. Isaiah is he's a good catch, man. And this guy, he put his all into it. And he's a flat out player. He's a flat out player who hasn't even scratched the surface of who he can become. And so I'm super excited for him. I'm super excited for his family. You know, excited to have the opportunity of coaching this young man. Great young man, very respectable, and he just turned out just to be such a great kid. This guy was, at one point like another son to me. He's been at my crib. He spent the night, and we had good times together, man. And but I'm super proud of this guy, and he's making it happen. But guess what, guys? It's another slap to the face for the NCAA, though. All right, the NCAA, you guys, I'm telling you, hopefully, you guys on the back end are trying to make things better, because guess what? You're missing out on some wonderful, wonderful talent. You got your one and dones, guys that are going into these colleges and they're saying, you know what, I'm out of here or whatnot. And it's all really boiling down to the NCAA not taking care of their players. And I noticed that, these young recruits are becoming very, very savvy. Some guys are not even going to college. They're going to the G League. They're going overseas. And come on, you mean to tell me that you wouldn't have liked to have LaMelo Ball at your college at a UCLA? Come on, you mean to tell me that you wouldn't have liked to held on to Zion Williams just a little bit longer, right? And so it's kind of crazy. It's really kind of crazy, man. And but I really hope that they're getting it together, because they're missing out on a lot of great talent. But it is because there's no really motivation outside of getting your education to stay in college, especially when your name is being called at the professional level. So kudos to you, Isaiah, to you and your family, man, and keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Lastly, to my young athletes, I just want to say this before we really get ready to go into it, guys. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. If you're not performing the way that you want to perform, out there on the field or, on the court or whatever it is that you do, keep your head up and just keep working. All right. Keep working, keep your confidence, and keep working behind the scenes, because it's the work that you put in that nobody sees is what's going to separate you from the rest of your competitors. So keep that up. And I just want to, give a quick shout out to my daughter. Honey, keep working at it. I went to her game today and she had a pretty good game, but she wasn't pleased with the way that she performed. And so I want to encourage you, honey, keep working. And remember, it's the stuff that's behind the scenes. You already know what to do. It's the stuff that's behind the scenes that nobody sees that's going to separate you. All right, guys, let's go. We're getting ready to get into it. Listen, I got my guy who's in the building, guys. He's waiting backstage and he's ready to come on. And I'm ready. He's ready. I'm ready. I'm so excited to bring him on. Listen, get everybody to their computer, get them on their phones, tell them to share this information, because I got my guy, physical therapy. He's a director of, and he's actually the owner of Healthquest Physical Therapy, man. I'm talking none other than my guy, Anthony Morelli. What's happening, my friend?
Ifis, what is going on, man? How are you?
I am doing wonderfully well, man. How are you? Is the question.
Oh boy, these days it's good. Everything is good. We got, as you had seen the other day, there's been a new addition to the family. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got to welcome my son Gio, last week Thursday. So it's been a little bit extra hectic, I'm sure you can imagine.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. And I know you're super excited about that.
Yeah, man. My daughter is Mia Allie and my son Gio and my wife Danielle. Love you guys. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm going to tell you, man, there's nothing like it. When they're small like that, it's a beautiful thing. It's when they start to getting of age, man. It's when it's like, ah.
How's your boys?
Oh, man. Hey, listen, the boys are doing good. And, they're actually home on break right now. And so I told them you were coming on, man. They were super excited. So they said that they'll be sure to check in, man. But Anthony, man, listen, bro, like, let's get into it, man. You are an intricate piece in the world of recruiting, because I know that you see a lot of young athletes, correct?
Yep, you bet.
And so, so let's talk about that. What are some of the things that you see on a regular basis that could be detrimental to young athletes?
Well, I would say there's a number of things, because there's never going to be more asked of a high functioning, high level athlete. both physically, mentally. So as far as what we see typically in PT, we see a lot of injuries that are either driven through compensation patterns. When you start to look into and get into gross movement patterns, large movement patterns, functional movement patterns, as we call them.
Right.
When folks have limited, you'd be surprised, no matter how high level that athlete might be, some of the limitations that they might have. That I was working with not that long ago, playing semi-pro basketball. It's fantastic, 6'5", jump out the gym, and had a lot of tools. I had a hard time doing a squat.
Wow.
Ankle limitations, right? So it led to knee trouble and a lot of other things. So it's the things that a lot of times don't see or they're unaware of, right? Especially athletes, as a matter of fact, because the more athletic and the more high level that athlete's capacity is for high level movement, the more compensation packages that they can produce, the more they have to be able to substitute.
Right.
But a guy like LeBron James, I mean, the way that guys like that are able to, or Russell Westbrook, the way that those guys are able to contort and twist and turn, and I'd be in a hospital if I tried twisting and turning like that.
Right.
But a lot of times it's the limitations that lead to compensation that end up triggering injuries. Believe it or not, I'm kind of one of my personal theories with a lot of ACL injuries and stuff like that I've seen is limitations with medial gastroc tendon. I'm getting a little bit specific, but in the ways that a professional who's looking at it knows how to screen for it, is able to note some of these things just by watching some of the deviations with that folks will do in a functional screen, and you'd be able to measure and test some of those things. But someone who has that kind of a limitation is going to sort of externally rotate their lower leg, and when they're through some of those dynamic hard cuts, I think that's what predisposes that a lot of times is moments like that. Of course, nothing can get hit or being bumped or whatever, knocked off your base, but to be sort of predisposed and have that sitting there and wait, those are the kinds of things that most of the time we see is the limitations that are sort of lying beneath the surface that most athletes don't detect.
Wow. And so you kind of hit on it, but can you talk about it just a little bit more in detail? What do you think leads up to the limitations? Is it something that they're doing, or is it something that they're ignoring, or can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times where it sort of stems from is sometimes some imbalances that start to occur. I mean, athletes, if they're serious about it and they're pushing, at higher and higher levels, they're working hard. Most of them you can kind of, that's a given for a lot of folks.
Right.
A lot of workouts, a lot of sometimes overemphasis on big muscle groups can create these imbalances that start to rear their head when you start to explode and move and cut and or if you're talking about throwing athletes, imbalances at the shoulder can lead to for example, limitations with internal rotation is something that we've done, and that sort of creates this cranial migration of the humeral head up into the subacromial space, starts to create damage, tendinitises, micro tearing and shearing. It can just put you on that road to a potential injury. Realizing it, So I think a lot of times it's those imbalances, or sometimes even a small injury where things kind of start heading in a bad path. Athletes can recover from it, but they maybe haven't shored up some of the deficits that they acquired while healing.
Right.
And I think that those are the things that kind of creep in a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony, what are some of the should athletes or parents or should they wait until they actually have an injury to think about participating in physical therapy, or should they, or could they actually get physical therapy before the injury occurred?
Sure. Yeah. I talk about this all the time with my partners, and we kind of wish in our heart of hearts that we could get folks to come around to the idea of doing like checkups. You know what I mean? The way someone would for your dental work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or just
Right.
annual physical health screens and stuff like that you do with your primary care physicians and stuff, because
Right.
things creep in throughout the year, and especially with young athletes,
Right.
when you start to consider, a kid might have a 3-4 inch growth spurt in a summer.
Yeah.
The biomechanical changes that are occurring there, they're used to moving here, and now they're here. All the long lever arm forces that they're now able to produce, that
Right.
muscles might or might not be able to handle. Things can change pretty quickly, especially when you're talking about that young developing athlete that's coming into their own.
Right.
So biannual screens is something we've always been sort of shooting for. We work with the SFMA and the FMS screens, and those have been very thoroughly studied and developed by a group of doctors and some physical therapists over the years.
Yeah.
Great cook stuff, essentially, and they have really put together a heck of a program that has allowed us to help sift through a lot of those compensations that start to present in larger movement patterns.
Right. And folks, just in case those of you that are just watching, or those of you that are going to come back and watch the video afterwards, the situation is that, a lot of these athletes, they put their body through a lot of rigorous things and not really, and don't really understand. They go out and they play, and then, they go home, eat, and go to bed, and they just keep doing that over and over and not really give the body the attention that it needs. And not only are they playing in high school sports, but they're also doing things like AAU, and they're doing things like outside of, high school football, 7-on-7, all this stuff, 1-on-1s, which could be very, harsh on the body. And so, and so this is what we're actually talking about. And so I just want to talk about, real quick, my own personal experience with this guy. Anthony, first of all, man, I like to call you the miracle worker. And I developed a total different level of respect and love for what it is that you do. Because, okay, so, we had, and I can say this, but, because they're my kids. So all three of my boys had injuries. I'll start with Miles, who tore his labrum in both shoulders, right? And then Myron, who had a meniscus tear, and my younger son Cephas, we call him Trey, who actually had a broken clavicle. Okay. So Healthquest, I was probably paying these guys his salary, but I'm just joking. But, what really stuck out to me is the fact that when I brought my boys to you, the attention and the care and, the particulars that you were going into and the dedication that you had to really get them, you were destined to really get them back to, 100%, or even possibly better.
Absolutely. No, I meant the world to hear you say it, and it, meant the world to have that kind of trust placed into someone, especially a parent. I understand it very well.
Yeah. Yeah. What drives that passion, Anthony?
Oh man. Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's you might not make $1 million, doing this kind of job, but you sure can feel that way every single time you help someone, through an injury and return into wellness. There's nothing like it. It's very validating and fulfilling career path. And, it is, it's
yeah. So
to help folks, really, it's an honor.
Absolutely. So, so let's talk about Miles's injury. Okay. So the first time, he tore his labrum, he had surgery, right? And he had surgery, and he came to you for physical therapy. I was a little skeptical or what have you, or but talk about the extent of that injury and talk about the likelihood of someone actually going back to 100% from in that situation.
Well, in terms of, when an athlete or someone comes in, it really doesn't matter where the spectrum. If they've been injured and they're having pain, they're worried that they're not going to be able to get back to work. They're worried they're not going to be able to get back to the sport of the team. They're worried that they're not going to be able to do all the things that people need to do. And so, you got to try to, be patient to explain thoroughly what you're doing and why you're doing it, to help them understand, the way home, essentially, the way out,
Right.
that we will essentially get there. In Miles's case, with the labrums, he was a really, really high level performing kid. I mean, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but it's like a factory, man. They got athletes are just popping out of there. But he had some limitations and stuff. He had some limitations at the shoulder. And I think, again, that predisposed him. Was it the exact mechanism?
Right.
Not, because in his case, I believe that he was hit, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Or caught while extending for a ball.
Yeah.
Those kind of situations. So, when you leave the earth and you come back down abruptly, I mean, the bigger you are, the harder they fall.
That's right. They're
going to get every ball they can. So, I think some of what predisposed them, again, was the limitations of range of motion of the shoulder.
Right.
And that's just going to lead to, running out of room and something touching up against something else. In this case, the labrum is a deep ligament around the glenohumeral joint. It's meant to be like a seal that sort of holds the ball and the socket together. The force couple of the rotator cuff, all of those things moving at the same time in the middle of the dynamic moment. You leap out, try to catch a ball, you hit the earth, or someone hits you. Bad things can happen, but what we're striving for all the time is to try to raise awareness, to educate, so that athlete has, some control, so that they can be at cause over their own health, their own,
right.
Rather than sort of just being subject to it.
Absolutely. And Anthony, how important is it that a player dedicate themselves to physical therapy after surgery?
Very important. I might be a little bit biased in the discussion, but I don't know how possible someone would. Oh, I'm sorry, my automatic light sensor went out here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how possible, after someone has been through an injury, which is going to be an injuring trauma, and then the reparative trauma of surgery isn't going to need help to get the range of motion back, to protect the thing that was repaired, and to make sure that all of the amazing physicians' beautiful work that was done, that it is protected and well looked after, that it's not rushed, that
right.
Anchors that they have put in place have a chance to settle, and that the tissues aren't challenged too early in specific planes where they ought not to.
Wow.
It's a really important process that I don't know how you could go through without someone having been there,
right.
and paying very close attention to post-op protocols or things like that.
Yeah. So I say that because a lot of people and a lot of athletes don't really take their physical therapy seriously. But if you want to get yourself back to close to 100%, or if not, if better, because it can happen. You have to dedicate yourself. Physical therapy, I like to say, it's you have your surgery, which is super important to correct the issue. But I also say physical therapy is at the same level. And the reason why I say that is because going into Miles, when he tore his labrum the second time on the other shoulder, after you and Papati fixed the other one, right? So so Miles again, at a football workout, he tore his labrum in his other shoulder, and that requires surgery, but the season was getting ready to start. And so, Dr. Papati told me, like, hey, look, why don't we do this? It's a wing and a prayer, but he heals really good. Let's get him over to Anthony. And it's something, it's really something when doctors, the surgeons really know who you are, man.
Well, it means the world to me, Dr. Pampati, the great Dr. Vinay Pampati.
Yes, sir.
Amazing sports surgeon in the area here. I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years.
Yeah.
And it's I really enjoy developing that kind of relationship, that rapport, building that confidence, with multiple physicians throughout the area. It is a great honor, and to work with Dr. Pampati and look after his patients has been, a huge part of my career. I've enjoyed. He's a great guy, and we've talked a lot, he and I, about that it really does. He's such a humble guy too. That's the most. I mean, it's overly, but anyway. You can take a beautifully done surgery, and if it's not well looked after, or it's being looked after sort of in a haphazard way, without attention to protocols and knowing when and when not to. Because there is a time to push.
Yes.
When and how to. If you don't, it'll take a beautiful surgery and make it look.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you take, a surgery that maybe didn't go so well, then you can be as brilliant as you want to be, but the net result is not going to be that ultimate, improved, maybe hopefully better than 100%, return.
Right.
So
right.
It takes the mending of both. And
right.
We've been really lucky to develop a relationship with a lot of great surgeons, and we're happy to serve them.
Absolutely. This guy did such an amazing job on Miles after going to taking Miles to physical therapy after tearing his labrum. Him and his team, they did such a fantastic job and on his shoulder, and they did a lot of things. They did a lot of strengthening with his strengthening with his shoulder and things like that. And but by the end of when they were done with his treatment, because we went for a good maybe 2 or 3 months, I believe, and after his treatment, Miles' shoulder was as if he went to actual surgery and had it fixed, but he never went to surgery. And he went and played a gruesome sport such as football, right? And played that whole season and had a heck of a season.
Sure did.
And so that's just amazing. And that just goes to show you guys, the type of work that he did. Another thing that really, really impressed me was the fact that with my younger son, when he tore his labrum, when he broke his clavicle, I brought him in, his clavicle healed, but I brought him in and I said, I want you guys to take a look at that, but also whatever else that you guys do, if you see anything else, just do whatever it is that you need to do. Your team, you guys, one thing I like about you just don't see to the injury, but you run a series of tests.
Yeah.
Like, you put a guy through a test and certain things, touch this, touch that, and you see what limitations that they have. And you put together a plan. Talk about that, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to focus on, I'm sorry, someone's knocking on the door here. You have to a really, I guess, a close attention to detail when you start looking at gross movement patterns, functional movement patterns. It really does tell you a lot about the issues that someone is having.
Mm-hmm.
Because you end up becoming kind of like a detective. You have to figure out where the source or what some of the risk exposure were that caused the mechanism of the injury in the first place. Again,
right.
Someone gets hit, if I'm in a car accident, well, I got a pretty good idea why that happened. But,
right.
as far as, the things that an athlete can be exposed to. The more you reduce, the more you're producing and playing on the field, or the court or whatever. So really those movement screens, and then being able to sort of follow an algorithm, right, where we're kind of breaking that out, right? When you find a dysfunctional movement pattern, like I was mentioning before with a squat, where I can see, troubles with the knee, hip, and heck, even back,
Right.
really come from a root problem at the ankle limitation that you might have there. I had a kid one time we were working with, a young throwing athlete. They were debating whether to take him for Tommy John surgery. So we started looking at the kid, taking a look at, again, how see how he's moving.
Right.
We were able to determine, if this was a throwing athlete in this particular case, but
Right.
coach kept telling him, get the ball down in the zone. So this kid was creating this motion that was really shearing heavily through his elbow.
Ooh.
It was because he had no ankle dorsiflexion, or his ability for, his foot to sort of come up towards him. So when he got to a certain point in the throw, he didn't have the ability to come out over top. He had to have something to get him down to lever through the arm. We literally fixed the kid's elbow. We didn't have to have surgery by addressing his ankle limitations, some of the limitations. And then we had to definitely spend some time with his mechanics, because he was very long lever armed and creating a lot of shear with where he was developing his power from. That's the other thing too, is really looking at quality of movement, and to this ties into the educational components. And this is, I always say that you can be really good at what you do in PT if you can help with the pain part.
Right.
If you want to set yourself apart, you have to be able to change the way people think about movement. It starts with education. So, in this particular case, taking a look at a functional movement pattern that had a lot of compensatory patterns built into it that were the root cause of this funky motion that he had started to develop, or that, to the, I guess, an untrained eye, you might not catch it.
Right.
But we shortened up the lever arm. We ended up having him perform even better without a surgery, because we changed the way that he threw. We got rid of the limitations, and we were able to knock out the pain. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's one example of, however many, where those kinds of things, biannual screen, I think really will go a long way for every athlete to shore up risks, exposures that they have to injury.
Right. Wow. Anthony, what kind of things do you and your team do to help a player's that could increase a player's performance?
Well, a lot of things. Again, sometimes fine tuning, choice exercise, the way in which it's executed, to make sure that you're focusing in the off more about lengthening while muscles and tendons, so that you don't start to get into these limitations and deficits that start to creep in.
Right.
And changing some of the movement mechanics. Like I said, really, it really becomes a lot about patient education, explaining, the way that the body is meant to be used.
Right.
And I mean, we see this a lot with young athletes who have low back issues. You see young kids with instability. They just got to this, growth spurt where they shot up, their torsos are longer, the legs are longer.
Yeah.
Musculature to support all that. They never had to contract the core. It's truly a day in their lives to actually guard or protect it. And they, through these extension bias movements, creating a lot of compressive pain, shearing pain. And, literally when you just, teach that athlete how to control and stabilize that core while lengthening these other muscles to actually harness power and make it a very compact, impactful movement, that sort of becomes where it all goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. So guys, if you are in the area, or if you're in Michigan, period, and you got a kid, that you're wondering about, or if they're complaining about pain, or, if they have to have a surgery or whatnot, and you really want them to be, at 100% or better, give this guy a call. Their team will take great care of you. Wonderful staff, just wonderful people that really, really care about whoever walks through that door. And so, I'm encouraging. I'm a huge advocate for this guy because I've seen its work and I believe in it. Anthony, what are some, we're in the home stretch. What are some last minute things that you want to share personally that we didn't really touch on?
I think that, emphasizing a little bit more mobility, range of motion, like commitment to mobility exercises and working on improving soft tissue pliability so that stretches become improved.
Yes.
You can literally substitute an entire workout a week in my experience and come out the better for it in terms of performance and ability. I think that that's a big one. I think that I've talked a lot about pounding of young athletes, sort of maybe overdoing it at times depending on their level and depending on their age and their capacity really. Maybe avoiding some of the repetitive pounding with some of their workout. Like in other words, like if you're doing plyometrics and you're doing working on explosive movements, rather than making it a box jumps where you're up down. If you're trying to slow the athlete, get the benefit of the what we call a box up and a step off, where you're exploding up, landing softly, and then turning it into an eccentric on the other side where you're lowering yourself back down to the floor, single leg, right? So that you're kind of staving on some of the pounding. That's one thing. I think athletes also really struggle a lot of times with single leg balance. Most athletes that you'll see have tremendous single leg balance and stability, which also means you have to have the range of motion for it because you kind of run out of room to move.
Right.
Single leg is a big focus. And I think throughout the year, I do think with regards to training, this is always a big one because, the better the athlete, the more they love to train, push hard. It makes, going to fatigue and failure, redlining as we would term it. Great t-shirt. It makes a great Gatorade commercial, but it's not always the right thing to do all year long. You can have benefits in short, like training camp time periods where that becomes a net gain for the athlete's performance. But learning how to work a little bit submaximal and rather make up for it with more frequency, gradually raising your loads, trying to get a personal best constantly where you're redlining and stressing, your joints, your body, your tissues, and all that stuff. It could sort of become abusive to a point. It makes a great commercial, but I don't know that it makes for the best athlete.
Wow, absolutely. Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Listen, man, I really enjoyed having you on today. You were super awesome. The information you shared was super priceless. And hopefully, we everybody out there took heed to that information because, it's super important. Your body is super important, and we see it all the time, at the professional level, and things happen. And so, and when those things do happen, what are you going to do? Who are you going to put your child in the hands of? You know what I mean? So, to get them back where they need to be. Man, listen, enjoy that bundle of joy, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. Give the boys a shout from me. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you, bud.
All right. Take care. Yeah, man. It doesn't get any better than that. This taking care of your body is super important. Because of the things that you guys are, or because of the things that young athletes are putting themselves through, and it's really tough. I can remember, going home, super sore all the time, and and not even giving it any attention and playing through the pain. And so, but eventually it caught up with me, which is why I had to have 2 knee surgeries. And so, so I encourage you guys to just, take heed to the information and share it, or whatnot. So that's it for us tonight, guys. Listen, make sure that you share the information and share the channel. And of course, stay tuned, stay locked in with me on my Instagrams and my Facebook and my Twitter page, because I'm always active and I'm always looking to post information out there. And so we're going to be back next week. Who knows, what we may have. So, but make sure that you stay tapped in. All right. Until next time, be safe out there, guys. And, and at the end of the day, yeah, we understand that there's a lot going on with the world, but you be the difference maker. Take care. There you have it, folks. Another great recruiting session in the books. Definitely there were some huge nuggets that were dropped, and hopefully you're walking away with something tangible. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we post new information. And also, too, if you want to support the channel financially, be sure to send all donations to $SportsDadCEPH, and that's also on my YouTube platform as well. Make sure that you stay tapped in. And until next time, I'm out.